Your attention, please.
I don't know what's happening to me, but you've got to go with it.
So, if you could finish up your absolutely incredible conversations. I know it's difficult, but we have our next speaker and we'd like to keep to the timetable. It's really bright. Yes. Oh, I'm in front of the stars. All right, so this is our next speaker, Lea Kapiteli. Lea is a young starseed. She's the next generation. She's featured in Mary Rodwell's latest book, and she's had contact with benevolent ETs, very loving, very caring.
Oh, well.
Sometimes. From childhood, from a very early age. So I've sort of had contact with the Greys, and I'm thinking, oh, why get the Greys? Why? So anyway, but yeah, she's had contact with these lovely benevolent ETs, and she does drawings of them. Some of you may have seen her artwork, and it really comes out in her artwork. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Lea Kapiteli.
This is probably my 5th time I'm talking in front of everyone, and I can tell it doesn't get any easier. So I'd like, So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my experiences as a starseed. Mary did an awesome job at really breaking it down, what a lot of these young people are experiencing, and I really have not that much to add on that front, but I can only tell you from first-hand experience. So that's all I got. And it's not on. Sorry. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, who am I? I am just a regular person who has contact with all different types of entities, and I've been living on this world for about 24 years now, and it's shown me, this place, even though sometimes I may curse it, it's actually it's taught me a lot, and yeah, it gets easier over time. So yeah. Now, before I was born, I was just a disembodied soul floating around in, the expanse of this universe, and I was visited by an entity who I had met many lifetimes in the past, and he came to me and he says, "Hey, remember Earth?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, we are in a bit of a pickle at the moment. We're looking for people who can volunteer to be our go-betweens, who can actually, make contact with the life forms on Earth, so we can actually have a bit of a dialogue going on. We need more people. So, are you willing to do it?" And I was like, what's in it for me? So yeah, after a little bit of back and forth, he eventually convinced me to come, and yeah, so I volunteered, and I was convinced pretty thoroughly to come here because this was my home in a previous life, so I did have some sort of connection with this place, and I did care. So and to see some of the things that were happening here, I had an obligation. I wanted to do something. I play a small role, in this help. Yeah, basically, Mesrith, my contact, he gave me the guilt trip because I was considering the task that was in front of me and in front of a lot of other people. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man, because this place is pretty crazy. I don't really want to go through with it. But yeah, he said, look, we're running out of time. We're running out of people. We need someone to come and put the good word across. So, yeah, guilt tripped. And he basically said, look, I'll tell you what, you won't be alone. I'll be around you. I'll have other people working with you, teaching you whatever you need to be taught, telling you whatever you need to be told to push yourself, put yourself in the right situation at the right time. So you're not don't ever feel like you're alone, because you're not. You always have someone on your side. You'll always have us. You'll always have me. And I was like, all right, I'll get out of that. So I came to this world as a babe. And just to give you a little bit of a backstory about Mesrith. Now, he is a Nevin source, and he's an energy being, super evolved, and he comes from a group of ETs that are custodians, and their role on this world is to ensure the survival of the biosphere, and they work a lot on the sense of how do I explain it? They basically ensure the survival of everything and all life here, but also they want to make sure that everything evolves well and everything is healthy and everything is going the way it's supposed to be going. And that's basically their role is to ensure everything is okay, everything is good, everything is healthy, including humans. Now, this is not the only world they have seeded. So basically, they were the ones who pretty much instigated the first organisms on this world, but they've also done it on many, many different worlds as well. They all have their own custodian groups over each world. So they have the particular individuals are all embodied of different, I guess you could say, aspects. One's in charge of, for example, how do I explain? Sometimes it's difficult for me to really articulate, because they all, like, one's embodying strength, one's embodying inspiration, like a muse, so one's embodying logic and creativity and so on and so forth. So they all have their own little roles that they put forth, and they try to inspire us, us humans. And yeah, I already mentioned, but they want to ensure this place survives, so then we can eventually go up there and hang out with them and have a good time with them. Now, the Ashtar, this is another group that's involved with Earth as well. But this group in particular, they have different races working together, and they all are from these seeded worlds that these Nevosaurus beings have made. So they are all humanoid, organic beings, so much like us. But the only difference is that they have actually managed to survive their own trials and tribulations and managed to become a special species. So, and make contact with other beings who are not yet there yet. So, yeah, and yeah, every world has their own Ashtar council. They kind of like consider them as like a social and political group orientated in making contact with Starseed, making contact with certain bodies of government and so on and so forth. Just putting the message out there that, hey, we exist. We're here. We're working with this world. All that good stuff. Now, there are about 26 members, and there are 13 different races altogether in this group, and all of them have their own very, very interesting backstories about their own worlds. Like, they were telling me some amazing details, a bit about their own personal stories as well, and, telling me about how their species survived their own problems and challenges, and it was just, it's very, very heartwarming, because some of them have told me some pretty, like, they were on the fringes of extinction just when at that point, and they changed. So I'm thinking, like, well, if they have done it, we don't have an excuse. Sorry. And yeah, these guys, their primary focus is to ensure that we go with them. We interact with them. We go to their worlds. They come to this world, and have that kind of interstellar relationship that we've been seeing on television for decades. This whole Star Trek being a fantastic example. That is more realistic than we think it is, because it's so possible. It's just, you can almost taste it, you know, and it's so exciting because it's just, we're that close from, we're that far off from them, and it's just, oh, I love it. So yeah, sorry, I get really like emotional, like, come on guys, we can do it. Now, who are we, Starseeds? I call them I call them Homo novis. Yep, Starseeds. There's many different names for them. Basically, what we are, our job is to be the liaisons between these different groups. So yeah, we're here to contact and interact with as many humans as possible, and to do a lot of, we do a lot of healing and a lot of energy work, and just speaking our truth. This is, you know, talking about our experiences with these other beings, as well as, you know, hey guys, we're not alone in the universe, you know, we're here. They want us to be with them. And yeah, we can do it. Now, basically, apart from just the healing, we also are altering other human genes. So even just being around a starseed for a period of time, you'll begin to notice some changes. Maybe consciousness, you know, you can have a bit more, you feel like you're a bit more awake, like you can interact with other people better, you can empathize with people a little bit better. It's just being around a starseed's vicinity can actually change. It changes people. Even if that starseed may not actually be doing any work on them directly, that change does come. So bit by bit by bit, we're just chipping away at that mountain. And just to give you a bit more of a background, custodians roughly, they're the ones who are organizing starseeds and bringing forth these different types of people. They do about every 100 generations to build up, to push up that evolutionary path for humanity. So they just, okay, after 100 generations, yep, one more, we'll push it up that next level up. So every level that goes higher, we can get to a point where these energy beings are after a few more 100,000 years. Now, starseeds are all around the world. They are absolutely everywhere. I mean, they don't discriminate. Like, there's from every ethnicity, every income bracket, doesn't matter. Starseeds are everywhere, and they all play a role in every little community they're in. They're all pushing that community up. It's because it has to be done that way. Otherwise, if you stick all starseeds in one little community all the time, it can, you know, we don't really affect that much, because we're all like our own little boxes. We have to expand. We have to push out from those boundaries. And I can understand it's extremely daunting, because we want to have that, we all want to have that sense of community with ourselves, people that understand us. But the thing is, we can't do our best work when we're all stuck together, if you know what I mean. So, actually, there's something funny I was going to mention. I remember I had this lady from Detroit, African-American lady, and she was telling me a bit about her experiences. And she was saying, I'm being visited by all these different beings, I have all this information, I have all this knowledge, I don't know what to do with it. I only thought this happens to white people. And I'm like, no, it's everywhere, relax. And I'm like, it's an interesting way of putting it, but okay. So yeah, with the Ashtar, with my case in particular, they heavily interface with starseeds, because they are giving information a lot of the time. So with my group of people, they're telling me a lot of, like, you know, bits and pieces about their history, their culture, a bit about the technology behind it. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really good with the whole science thing. So they give me a lot of things on a more of a if you call art front, because I can understand these things a little bit better. I can comprehend these things with greater ease than mathematical equations. I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, I didn't see anything. Sorry guys. Yeah, and the sad thing is with a lot of starseeds, particularly with the really young ones, again, age doesn't really matter, but it's extremely isolating sometimes, because you're this person who is in the center of major groups. You know, you have the humans, you've got Ashtar, you've got custodians, whomever, and you're like, I fit nowhere. I don't know where I belong. I'm in the center. Like, I can't. I'm part ET, but I'm also part human. Where do I sit? And it can be extremely overwhelming and extremely isolating and draining, because you're like, oh my God, I don't have anybody else I can talk to about this. But you know, that mold is breaking. That mold is going away, and it's just, you know, it takes groups like this to actually really realize that, hey, we're not alone. Even our starseeds, we're not alone. Like, we have everything we need together. Now, I noticed something particularly interesting about starseeds, where you know that feeling when you can kind of when you look at someone and you can tell straight away if they're a contactee or not, or someone who's a bit like you on that sort of level, you hit that frequency, because you are in many ways, because you guys are connected through that mixed genetics, or that, you know, it's almost as a level of collective consciousness behind it. Like, we may not always be fully aware, like myself, for example, I'm not always fully aware of every single starseed on this planet. No, I'm not. But when I look at someone, I'm like, oh yeah, I know where you're from, you know? And what's actually even more amazing, I find that even though we are coming from the same place, we have our own little goals and jobs to do for this world. Like, my goal, for example, is to do, you know, presentations and talks and artwork and writing books and all that sort of stuff. That's my job. Someone else's job may be, you know, introducing a new type of technology, different, like, you know, talented in engineering and you know, the more logical sciences. So it's just, everyone has their, some people are really good with politics. I mean, I'm not, but everyone has their own job to do, because it takes all sorts to change a world, you know. Now, what's really important, I was fortunate enough to experience this, but I have a caseworker. I call a caseworker. Some people call, you know, Starseed family, whatever. But I have a contact who's helping me out, we are actually slightly biologically related as well. Her name's Antaji-san, and I'll get to it in a bit, but she has helped me out tremendously over my life, even though sometimes I did not want her help, and you know, and I got it anyway, and sometimes when I needed her help, I didn't get it. So it's just, she's always there, and she's always looking out for me, and she's always she's trying to keep me on a straight path, because it's very easy for us sensitives to fall off the track every once in a while, because this place is pretty wild and full of energy, and some of it's good, some of it not so good. But yeah, her job as a caseworker, she keeps me straight, you know, well, most of the time. Yes, and together, over time, we are ensuring that we all evolve with this world together. We can, us united, we can actually bring about change, and we can bring about the next stage of this evolution, which is already here in many ways. You know, there's already kids being born with all these super abilities, and it's already here. We just have to recognize it. Now, a little bit of backstory about my life. I am one of these people because I was told this and I was shown this through my experiences and contacts. And yeah, some of the things I've seen, sometimes it's extremely overwhelming, but it's important to share it. I was having contact with these beings since I was about 5 years old. I had my first physical encounters when I'll admit, my physical encounters are very limited. I've had them when I was 5 and 6. And ever since then, I've had mostly psychic communications and astral visitations, and I would actually visit them, they would actually visit me. But at that young age, I had no concept of these sort of things. All I knew that I was seeing these beings and I was talking to these beings, and I thought that it was pretty normal, pretty average, because I'm thinking like, oh, every kid is going on, midnight classroom tours and, just having a chat with beings that are about this big or about that big, It's like, oh, it's normal, no problem there. But yeah, it took me quite a while to click into the fact, no, that's not happening to everyone. And that was probably one of the worst realizations of my young life at that time. I'll tell you, look, it wasn't until when I was about 7 to 8 years old, maybe roughly around that time, because I was talking to my family about my experiences, and a lot of them did not know how to handle it well. A lot of them just didn't know how to handle it, and sometimes they would let me talk about it. They just put it aside as just a child's imagination. But some of them, they were saying they're not real. It's just imagination. Put that out of your head. Grow up. They were telling me to grow up, and it wasn't until that seed of doubt has been planted and it grew and it sprouted, and it was just, yeah, I don't know if this is real or not, this can't be real. And then it wasn't until one particular night where I told one of my friends, ET friends, I said, you're not real, go away. I stopped talking to her, stopped interacting with her before then, but I told her to go away, leave me alone, you're not real. And that kind of created a rift between me and them for a few years until I was 13, when Mesrith came back to me. And he says, hey man, you are one of these people. These experiences have been happening to you. Now, it's your choice if you want to, you can continue on with your life, the way it was before, interacting with people on a very shallow front, never really being able to engage with others on any in-depth level. I mean, I did have friends in school, but I couldn't connect with them very well. Or the other option was, I can tell you more about yourself. I can show you more about what you are and where you're going. Only up to you. And I'm like, please take me. So yeah, the first place he took me was to the moon. And that's where I actually was introduced to the Ashtar and custodian councils. And that was when I met those 26 representatives, and I can tell you that was an experience and a half, because I'm in a room with all these different types of people, and they're all, they all look different, they all dress differently, they're all speaking differently. Some of them are a little bit more reserved, while others were coming to me and talking to me like, hey, how are you? I'm thinking like, what is happening? Now, this was all purely my astral, when I was in my astral form. This wasn't when I was physical. My physical body was still, asleep in my bed that night. And because of those early astral experiences, Mesrith actually really helped teach me how to actually disconnect from my physical body, so I would actually be able to visit them, and I would be able to be more sensitive to their presence as well. So it was that back and forth happening a lot for the early years. However, the problem was he actually had to actually take my astral body out of my physical form so I can travel. But it wasn't, unfortunately, after a couple of years, I had to start doing it by myself. Now I can tell you, astral traveling by yourself is very difficult. For me, it took me a long time to get used to getting out of my body, because it's no easy thing. I used to rely on them all the time to do it for me. Now they're like, nah, the training wheels are off, you got to do it yourself. So I was like, okay, fine. And I can tell you that some of those experiences when I was in that form, it surpasses any theme park, any game I have ever played. I can tell you, like, they are, going through the center of stars, being one, and being shot through on the other side. It's a thrill, I can tell you. The best part is you don't burn. Now, over the years, as I was communicating with the Ashtar group and these 26 representatives, they were telling me a little bit about their own personal stories, which I was absolutely fascinated about. Like, they were telling me about their cultures, their histories, the way they, how they managed to survive their challenges, and I'm hearing all these wonderful things. And of course, around this time, I was thinking like, oh my God, this might be just imagination. This could be something else. This could be really nothing. Because I was still fighting this. I was still kind of in doubt. Like, I don't know. I'm not too sure about this. But then I was given information about their own lives, like how they became how they became the members of the Ashtar Council, like when they were growing up on their own worlds and their own personal lives and the things that they've had to suffer through to be able to be where they are today as, you know, as the Ashtar. And I'm thinking like that this is too much for imagination. This is just too much, because they were giving me, like, I could, not only were they telling me these things, they were showing me snippets of their own history, of their personal histories, and attached to it were their emotions and the people that they've loved and people they have lost over their lives. And I'm thinking like, this can't be. There's no way that this is just some sort of imagination. And it was just like, nah, this is real. This can't. Sorry, I get emotional about it, because some of the things they have shown me is I have to remember that they are people too. They are people too, and they had their own flaws, and they've made major mistakes. And you know, we're not that different. And that was one of the more profound things I have realized in my years. That they're not divine, godlike beings, even though sometimes they may be perceived as such, but they're flawed beings like us, and, you know, and even though they may have an eagle's perspective on things, the skies for them, the limit for them is still the sky, you know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Now, because we had that sort of relation, we became friends. We became fast friends. You know, I was talking with them on a regular, through telepathic means. We were talking all the time. I couldn't switch it off for many years. I could constantly hear that chatter in the back of my mind, and I'm like sort of, you know, peeking in, like, just to hear a little bit about what they're saying. But yeah, it took me some years to actually train myself to kind of switch it off, because it would get very overwhelming with the amount of chatter that was happening. And but I did enjoy hearing a little bit about the banter that was happening between these peoples, and some of the sense of humor is crazy. It's so funny. Like, for example, like one of my contacts, Saranith, he's not shown in this, but I'll point it out to you in a later slide maybe. But he is kind of a very charismatic, outgoing kind of person. And everyone, you can make fun of him, it's fine, like he can handle it. Any kind of, you know, any insult you think you can shoot at him, he'll just snap back right at you and like, hey. And I remember one particular time I could see in my mind's eye, he comes into the room one day, and at work, if you will, into the office. And because like he usually wears like he doesn't have a beard on, it's like usually clean shaven, but then one day he comes in, he has a beard, and everyone's like looking at him like, what is that on your face? And I'm just like laughing in the background, and then he was pressured to shave it off. So yeah, no, like, oh God, I can tell you that guy. And yeah, so they are, they are beings that extraterrestrials. The Ashtar are all extraterrestrial beings who come from this galaxy, and they're all three-dimensional in the way we perceive corporeal. Like, so you can actually touch them, you can interact with them, you can hear them, you can see them, you can even smell them, though sometimes they don't smell particularly pleasant. And they're all together. They're all working together in this coalition, this cooperation, and they all have their own input in this greater group. You know, exchange of technology, information, research, just, you know, it's endless. It's endless, and they want to introduce this to us as well. Like, hey man, you know, we have this community happening here. We want you to be a part of it. Now, extra-dimensionals, they are a little bit different. They're not originally from this universe, but some members of these extra-dimensional entities are members of this cooperative, though they are not as they don't have that stronger sense. The ones I've encountered, they don't actually have that stronger sense of community as these guys do. Like, they're not saying that that's like a bad thing. I'm just saying that they come in and you know, they do their part and, you know, look around for a bit before they go to another. They skip off to another dimension. So it's a bit, you know, it's constantly changing, constantly shifting all the time. So they are particularly interesting, and yeah, like what's really amazing about them is they even though they do have form, they can actually phase their bodies to hit whichever frequency they want, so that allows them to travel between dimensions at any point in time. And it's just, you know, like, I want to be an ED, damn it. Next life. So, just basic again, you know, this universe is rich with life. It is absolutely thriving with it. There are about 20 million races in this galaxy alone, maybe more in others. You know, I mean, of course, the numbers are up and down all the time, but, you know, it's just, this is not an empty universe. What we once considered to be just void blackness, no, it is thriving with light, it is thriving with matter, it's thriving with people. And it's just, it's all connected. And we are part of this, but we just have to kind of get that into our heads, man. You're not on your own here. You never were. Not even from day one. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal to get to that point, that realization that, you know, we've been visited, we've been in contact, we've had friends. We have beings who can relate to us, like the ones I was mentioning before. Like, they're physical, they had their own problems in the past, and they're like, hey man, we've gone through the same things as you've gone, we can help, we can do this, we can show you something a bit better than what you have now. Yeah, basically, they want to ensure that first contact does happen, or disclosure, or the event. It's all under the same umbrella. They want us to be a part of the prosperity that they're living in right now, and they want to. It's actually pretty amazing. I had some new information come through in the last year or so, and I had this kind of image that was given to me by Mesrith, and it was really interesting because I was wondering, why are you guys so intent? Like, what is the underlying reason for you to really come here? I mean, of course, they all have their own reasons. Species have their own reasons. The individuals have their own reasons. But he showed me something that was even more profound than that. It was like being like him, reaching over a dark chasm, with me on the other side, reaching out, trying to touch my hand as I'm reaching out to his. And it was on equal ground, and I'm thinking, like, what does this mean? And he explained, it was, we are trying to understand ourselves through you. So it's not just you understanding yourselves through us, it goes the same around as well. Because we are always looking to understand our place in this universe, and the universe itself is great consciousness that surrounds us every single day. With you, we are closer to that understanding by making contact with beings on an interstellar scale. We are getting closer to understanding where we are, where we should be. Yeah, and you know, Starseeds, we are just one out of many, many different types of people who are trying to bring about this knowledge. And, you know, there are some people who are contactees who aren't Starseeds as well, who have also this information too. And it just takes, it takes all of us to really pull in our energy and pull in all of our effort